Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. As foreshadowed last episode, I've pretty much dropped all the anime I was watching, so I don't know. What do you all want to talk about? Anything? Well, podcast canceled.
All right.
It's nice working with you guys.
You know we're the best anime podcast because we don't fucking talk about anime.
So Joe,
Yeah.
what do you think of that Arknights roguelike event?
Oh, fuck
Anyway, no, yeah, I dropped. I am still watching some things. I mean, I think you guys are watching most everything. Although we were just discussing, you're probably done with Log Horizon at this
We're
point.
in a real
right?
messed up
So-
situation when Iro and I are carrying the season on our backs. But
Yeah, because I know.
Sega
Usually I'm like,
Aquagays are propping me up from behind here. So
sure.
yeah, I know. I'm usually probably at this point our broadest, most watched per season person. But man, some of those I could not.
You just
I
checked
was
out.
like, what am I doing with my life?
Okay, Joe. Well, I'll give you an out here, Jel. Why bother talking about this season's anime when we can talk about the best anime of last year?
All right,
Wow.
thank you, G. Well, that'll be a good segue for our first segment. But let's introduce everybody first. I'm Jel. I am joined by Iro.
I'm not dead yet.
Still with us.
Still
Joined
here.
by G.
What's good, everybody?
And for this episode, we are joined by Artemis.
It is good to be here.
All right. So, as G was alluding to, I wanted to start our episode mentioning the extremely relevant Crunchyroll
Wow.
Anime Awards, which aired
Uh-huh.
a day after the last podcast episode came out.
The most relevant content is what we are
Which
offering.
you know we're continuously dunking on the Anime Awards for a lot of reasons. You know, probably primarily because they hold them at like the end of February, and it's for the previous year. At which point, everybody has moved on to new stuff.
I mean, I can
But-
understand the logic behind doing that,
I get it.
but also
You
maybe
could-
maybe aim for January.
you could pull it off by like the end of January or something. I feel like once you hit February
Yeah.
1st, nobody cares about the previous
Yeah,
year.
like for
Especially
real,
2020, in which we're all trying to forget anyway. That, and you know, it tends to be a popularity contest because it's basically run by fan voting. They have judges that make the nominees, but then the fans vote, and then whatever is most popular usually wins. But anyway, I was kind of curious because I feel like in the corners of the internet that I lurk about, like this has become less and less relevant. I'm like, is the Anime Awards just like dead? Are they going to just like shut this down already? And no, I don't think they are. It was like
I would be curious to see those numbers
I looked up
over the years.
I looked up their Twitch and YouTube, and they had like 10 times more views of the live event than last year. I don't
Everyone's
know if
at
it
home.
was.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like the COVID effect and everybody's at home and have nothing else to do. I have heard from other sources that anime has been booming more so than usual as people are scrambling
Yeah,
for things to watch.
I could
So-
definitely
see it, yeah.
I could definitely see
So-
that effect. Like a lot of podcasts I listen to that have nothing to do with anime. Well, at multiple of them have now just been like, well, you know, when they're talking about what have you been doing this week, anime has started to just crop up more and more commonly as a topic across the
People
board.
start-
Just
Because it's just something like, well, for you at least, it's something you've consistently done for a long time, right? Whereas, but more people are talking about
Right.
it.
yeah, once they've exhausted their like live action Netflix
Start-
queue.
Deep diving into
Once you've, like,
Netflix.
fully exhausted these socially acceptable things to talk about.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
I'm assuming that you guys did not watch then like any of the or listen to the
Oh, absolutely not.
however they
Oh, no,
presented this
no,
or
I don't-
voted.
Oh no, I didn't.
I
I didn't
think-
actually
I
watch
think
the
we did
broadcast
once,
this year.
like 2 or 3 years ago, and we're like,
And it
well,
was,
we're
like,
never doing this again.
So tortuously painful to watch.
Well,
it?
I think they've at least improved the production values from the little bits
Oh,
I've
that I
seen.
can believe. Yeah.
Because the first time we watched was like the first time they did an actual show, right? And it was like
Oh, that's right.
somebody in a high school cafeteria or something with presenting
I think
the
I
awards.
just remember they were announcing the award, one of the awards, and literally played the sizzle reel from the previous award.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess the point is
Right.
we're all anime hipsters, and
Yes.
But it's
we're not
apparently
here
more
to dunk on Crunchyroll. We're here to dunk on the mainstream anime fandom.
Yeah, no, I in a way, I'm glad that they do it. It's something to talk about, right? We're talking about it now.
Yeah,
But
I mean, it's
I mean, it did kind of bear out once again that it's a popularity contest because like Jujutsu Kaisen won Anime of the Year.
Congratulations!
Despite it being the obviously worst half of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, very funny thing about Jujutsu Kaisen winning is that if it won for 2020, it is winning on the merits of yes, it's much weaker first half.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that it was the most popular, at least in the United States, the most popular anime of 2020 on Crunchyroll. So
sure, but hey,
it won. It won in the year nominated against like Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, Dorohedoro, and BEASTARS. So
all definitely better shows.
Way better anime, yes.
On the flip side, they also nominated Appare Ranman, which is
I mean,
and No Akudama Drive, GLORIO.
Right. Let me just point
out, off with that shit.
2020 Anime of the Year.
Yes, did not even bother to did not deign to nominate GLORIO's best anime of 2020.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they did get some things right. BEASTARS won Best OP. I don't know how that could not.
If it didn't win Best OP, like, you could just, like, I mean, you know, not that, again, I don't want to say goodbye to the awards show's credibility, because, yes, it is fan-voted, but, like, I would have, like, just completely shattered my ability to, like, have anything resembling, like, I don't know, basic respect for the anime fandom.
Right.
If
I mean, it was. I was
that.
worried because it was a category that Jujutsu Kaisen was in, and I feel like what happens with a lot of these awards is like, oh, I haven't watched it. I don't know what any of these shows are. I'm just going to vote for the one that I watched, which
so
is
you
the
mean
most
the
popular
Oscars?
one. So yes, exactly. So yeah, there was that.
And we'll note that Jujutsu Kaisen won Best Ending, but both the BEASTARS opening and the Jujutsu Kaisen ending are part of the same group.
Yes, so the musical group Ali, which produced both, won
yes,
both
they
Best
won both
OP
the ending
and
right,
Best
for
ED.
different shows. Yeah.
So
I mean, Jujutsu
congratulations
Kaisen
to
did.
Ali, I guess.
Jujutsu Kaisen did probably deserve it for the ending, so I'm fine
It's a
with
good
that.
ED, yeah.
It's good.
But I don't know.
On the other hand, Freddie Mercury.
I was
On
going
the other
through
hand,
the
DNA, like, also had a great ED, so...
Yeah. I was going through, and possibly the biggest travesty was like their best fight scene, which was something from My Hero Academia. But they did nominate Brawler vs. Master on
It is
Akudama
the
Drive.
only category Akudama Drive got nominated in.
And it did not win that. It did not win that.
The
thing.
Deku vs. Overhaul fight's not even that good. Like, you can go back to the podcast. You can go back to the podcast and listen to me and Iro talk about it. Like, it's well animated. It's the one Udapon scene in that entire season. So, like, yes, it's well made, but like, it's not like.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
again
popularity
of the theme or whatever.
It did do that. Yes, that was.
So in conclusion, the Anime Awards are a celebration of diversity within the medium.
yes, a broad range of.
Shonen Jump wins everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Again, popularity.
Wait,
if there's anything more popular than.
Where the hell did I get off putting God of High School twice in the same category?
Oh, because they paid for that.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait a goddamn second. I was looking at this. I was like, wait you beat me to it. I was like, was this show nominated twice?
That's not allowed.
You can only look. It takes a very special kind of show to be worthy of getting nominated multiple times. Like
in one category, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like Grand Bell presents best Grand Bell moment.
Shout out to you, GLORIO cult classic Grand Belm, but yeah. All right, that's probably enough of that for now. The only other thing I would mention is the extremely competitive Best Girl category, which surprised me that Kaguya from Kaguya-sama won. I thought the girl from Rent a Girlfriend would win, but not that I wanted her to, but I thought that was going to happen.
Thought she would.
Yeah, and she was in a category up against Kanamori from Eizouken and Noi from Dorohedoro.
Wait, really? Whoa. Kanamori didn't win? Man.
Yeah.
These people. I mean, look, Kaguya.
That's why I was surprised. Like, of all the options on that list, I felt like Kaguya was like the least likely.
Kind of money was dominating the social media for like a solid 2 months or something, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I
mean,
you can't even claim it was
Everybody
because it
wants
was
Noe
early
to
in the...
step on them. Like, I don't know, man.
yes, like
To like crush their skulls with her bare fist.
I think
her strong hands. Yes.
I think the problem with Dorohedoro is nobody watched it. That's the thing.
They were like,
if
"What's
you
with
watched-
this weird lizard dude?
If you watched Dorohedoro, then you would have voted it for everything.
Yeah,
What's
I
with
mean
this
that's
weird lizard dude?" Now, like Shonen Jump. That I understand.
Yeah. All right. Let's move along. It is March now, so we can stop talking about 2020.
Yeah. On the other hand, speaking of Shonen Jump,
All right,
Promised
so
Neverland.
yeah, let's get to our anime talk. Like we said, we ditched Log Horizon, but we'll check in on Promised Neverland season 2 because I'm curious what's been going on.
Oh boy.
The last time we left off, we talked about how they appeared to be diverging greatly from what happened in the manga.
Yeah. That divergence ended up being not a anime original plotline or anything. It just ended up them jumping to the end of the manga.
So let me understand this correctly. Instead of doing the usual thing of like, oh crap, we don't have a lot of time, so let's just like bang out an original ending, or like let's just focus on the good parts of Promised Neverland. You're telling me that season 2 cut out the good parts of the manga so that it could get to the bad parts faster.
Yup. And like,
magnificent.
I would not necessarily be opposed to it if they made more changes to the anime version to soften the blow, so to speak, to like maybe lead into some of those plot elements more effectively. And they do not. In fact, just jumping to the end and going straight to many of those plot developments doesn't really work at all when you skip the middle 40% of the manga. Like,
right.
And they skipped that much? I thought you meant like they skipped like a story arc or like...
No, they skipped from the like season 1 was the first arc and it ended into a good ending, and then now it's they do like a little bit after that and then jump straight to the final arc of the manga.
Oh.
Have you read the manga, Artemis?
No, I haven't. So this season is going to be the end. There's going to be no season 3, I'm assuming. Like,
I assume not.
I see.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is here. Like my speculative take is that because Promised Neverland, the manga is already finished, and is not as white hot as say Demon Slayer, they're less effectively able to push the like multimedia merchandise machine for it, and so but they already promised a season 2, so it's like, well,
right, like
it's not going to move.
This anime
move more manga.
Yeah, it is. It's not going to lead to a jump in manga sales. So.
That's a shame. It kind of makes it sound like they've more or less thrown in the towel because they didn't see enough marketing value in making it actually good.
Yeah, that's just my speculation.
It's really, I mean, yes, right. Obviously, we don't have anybody out there putting any of this to paper, but it really is unfortunate because, again, like, look, I have many thoughts about how The Promised Neverland wraps up as a story, but, I said it multiple times. I thought that at the very least, The Promised Neverland deserves at least a solid season 2. Mm-hmm. Like, everything after that kind of goes to the shitter. But season 2 would have at least been, like, decent. It would have at least carried forward some of the good energy from season 1.
Right.
So to hear that, like... Like, I'm trying to think of like what would the equivalent be in like a different anime or like a different an adaptation of a different manga of like, we're going to skip the part you all like so we can get to the part everybody hates sooner. Like, it's really mystifying.
Or just the fact that they're deleting like almost half of the story, right?
And half the cast, right? Like,
right. Like, they do meet a bunch of characters in the middle that are presumably not going to appear.
And like, again, I haven't watched the anime, but I'm familiar with the plot points because I read the manga, and it's like, it just feels like there's so many like plot points, even like some of the like still good ones lose their effect because you lose that distance. Like, fucking man, I don't care. Do we fucking care about spoilers? Like, so everybody knows that like Norman gets gets sent off right at the end of season 1, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, Norman's gonna get eat, right?
Norman's gone forever. He's definitely dead now.
Definitely dead. Spoilers.
For the record, I never at any point thought he was dead, but
Neither did I.
Norman is still alive.
Right, he comes back.
But
yeah.
in the manga, it's like three years pass.
Yeah.
Like this arc they're skipping spans like 2 to 3 years. So like, it's meant to be like actually quite the catharsis when they finally meet Norman again, because it's been a while.
Now in the anime, it's been like a few months, and so they're all still like 13 or whatever, or 11,
whatever age those kids were. And so it's like,
I made him show up again. It's like
even that like loses its impact, right?
Yeah,
because
totally.
like you've been gone for like less than a year.
I think the big one is the revelation that like their ultimate goal is back at the farm.
Yes.
Which, when your story is padded over a larger period of time, it comes off as a very like, it comes off as a strong like, oh, we're going full circle back to where it all began.
Right.
But
I can imagine like a sort of after all we've been through, after all these like whatever missions we've accomplished or whatever.
Back.
But at this point in the anime, to me, it's
like,
like after all we've been through, hiding in a fort and getting our clothes dirty.
Wow, wow! Camping out for a couple of months was hard. Let's go back home.
I mean, for whatever it really does look like, for whatever reason, they just felt like there was not enough legs for 3 seasons, and
I guess.
I think it is. Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like even the less popular shonen, I mean, look, we've all joked about like how bad, what was that shonen that like got famous because of those really bad looking screenshots? The 7 Sins or whatever it was called.
Like 7 Deadly Sins.
The 7 Deadly Sins, right? Like people were like sharing screen caps of like that anime that looked like super rough, right? Like kind of reminded you of like the heyday of like back when like shonen anime was this like endlessly churning machine.
Right. Yeah.
Naruto filler episodes.
Yeah, but not even
Dragon
that,
Ball filler episodes.
Like,
Dragon Ball filler episodes will get even worse. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to look it up, but it's just like, yeah, like, okay, here's like, this is like great content, but like, just like, here, you just look at those screenshots. But like, point is like, you would think that like, even in the worst case scenario, this is why I wanted you guys to see it, right? Because like, I'm just saying it looks bad, but you need to actually understand like, it was looking rough, right? Mm-hmm. And like, you would think that even at its worst, the fate that Promised Neverland would get is an adaptation of this caliber, right? Like, where they just don't care anymore. They've pulled out the resources, and now it's
but
just
they
like,
at least do it all. Like,
but at least you would do it all, right? You would at least put it all to screen.
Right.
It's not that I mind missing out on characters that I don't know because I can't miss what I haven't read.
Right.
But like, I have my interest in the characters that we have now is just waning so much.
Yeah.
That I no longer have much of an interest in following them, and I probably will finish it just because at this point I'm halfway through, so why not? And I'm not watching a ton of shows anymore anyway. But it's a real shame because I really, really did enjoy season 1 a lot.
Season 1's great.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it's
just to see that tension and that kind of psychological horror aspect just fizzle out was
right.
Yeah.
What we expected season 2 would adapt, I would argue, like, still has some of those elements just in a different context, which is why I was actually looking forward to the adaptation of that arc.
If nothing else,
crumpled that up and threw it in the trash bin. Right?
What season 2 took away from us is the scene of that girl double fisting M60s and just like going full Rambo on some.
Wait,
beaters.
does that actually happen?
Yes. Yes.
Oh man!
I almost wonder if there was also an aspect of that's why they cut that arc out because there's a lot of children with firearms.
Oh yeah, that too. Very action heavy. Lots of kids with guns.
Oh,
but
can't show that on your Christian anime here.
Right.
But,
whereas now we can have the like genetic mutation kids with like double katanas.
Right, yeah, like it's
starring Faust from Guilty Gear.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like in hindsight, oh right, like yeah, that manga kind of progresses from like fucking helpless children on the run to they get guns to they get swords, and somehow the latter is an upgrade over the former.
Well,
that's just anime.
Yeah, anime in general, a katana is always an upgrade to a gun, but all right. Yeah. Well, that's disappointing. Do you think are you going to finish it, Iroh, or are you getting dragged along?
We're halfway there. Like,
it's too late.
We got to finish the fight now.
Point of no return. Yeah, I hear you. That's why I dropped so many shows last time, because this was the halfway point of no return. If I watch one more episode, I'm committed.
Yeah.
Morally, contractually obligated to
that's
continue.
Faster to keep going than to stop. Turn back.
Yeah. I did see, because one of the shows I dropped was Other Side Picnic, of course, and I saw episode 7. They did the beach episode, which we talked about on previous podcasts. So I was like, why don't they just do a beach episode or whatever? And I'm like, nope, not gonna watch it. Stay strong. All right, let's move along, and we'll talk about Cells at Work, Code Black. G, you want to fill us in on the latest?
So, I'm now caught up, first of all, so I can actually speak to the most recent episodes. But, I gotta be honest, I was, a little, uneven on the show going in, but, I think at this point I have to admit, it is mostly, there's more good than bad here. It is a legitimately pretty fun spin-off. And, it's still doing, of course, the Cells at Work, and this is how this bodily function works, except edgier and sexier, but,
Yeah.
The thing that Cells at Work has actually done that I haven't really, or Code Black has done that I haven't really spoken about, because it's not that I didn't think it was relevant, but I didn't think it would pay off, is it has a persistent narrative.
Okay.
The body they're living in is dying.
That's actually weirdly dark.
And every episode is about how the stakes are getting grimmer and grimmer. With every passing episode, you start to notice less and less characters showing up in the background. The cells are dying. There are less of them with every passing episode. Things are getting worse. And they keep, hammering this point that, they keep managing to, barely survive to see tomorrow. But, almost every episode you have a character say, it's not going to get better as long as the body keeps and this is the part where he gets a little looks directly at the camera and says, as long as the body keeps behaving like this, it will not improve. It's and it, again, it goes through a wide variety of bodily functions to kind of hammer that point home. Fucking one of the episodes is about a pulmonary embolism, straight up blood clotting in the leg. It's but then there's also a lot less heinous stuff, I don't know, athlete's foot, but the point is that it all is meant to kind of keep building up to this crescendo of just things are getting worse and worse, and and it all culminates in again a kind of a really strong character arc that I was totally caught off guard by, and now I'm gonna have to explain this all because I haven't talked about this aspect of the show at all this whole time. But the main character of the show is a red blood cell. He wears glasses. We're just going to call him main character red blood cell. And he has his friend, the blonde-haired, more laid-back, the type. Best friend type, right? Who, is a little bit of a coward, but always steps up because his friend is.
Is he also a red blood cell?
Yes, he is also a red blood cell. So we're just gonna call him blonde red blood cell, because again, these characters don't have names.
Right.
And they actually did this really effective arc of Blondie's kind of feelings of resentment and inferiority because the main character red blood cell, we'll call him Glasses. Glasses is such a go-getter. He is straight as an arrow by the books. Overachiever, and whereas Blondie is always the one who's oh shit, we got to get out of here, or I'm gonna go run and hide, right? And it kind of culminated in a pretty good episode, a few episodes ago, where they kind of have a confrontation over it, right? And in the end, they kind of make up because they realize that we're all in this together, and this body is the body that we're stuck with, and there's not really much we can do about that, so we might as well try to just, like, be as good to each other as we can. And then this all... And so, like, they have, like, a genuine friendship. Like, that I was actually like, oh, okay, like, this is actually, like, pretty well written. Like, these characters, like, again, these nameless blood cells have a really good, like, good character dynamic, a good relationship. Like, they bounce off each other well. Like, another episode, a couple episodes ago, Glasses guy, again, he's, like, the go-getter. He's always, like, trying to do his best. He gives 110%.
Mm-hmm.
He burns out. Like, straight up. They get into, like, no matter, like, how much of an overachiever you are, if you keep doing this, you will burn out, and you will self-destruct. And it takes Blondie's, like, more, like, laid-back attitude to be like, look, man, like, yes, this body is dying, but we all gotta take breaks. Like, you know, no matter how bad things get, like, no matter how apocalyptic the world is looking, you cannot think... Weirdly relevant, but you can't think about the apocalypse 24/7. Like, no matter how oppressive it might seem, you need to, like, you need to jack out, right? Like, you need to pull out every now and then. And then all of that culminated in the most recent episode about a stomach ulcer.
Ugh.
And long story short, Blondie sacrifices his life to save Glasses. Straight up. Straight
Saw
up
that
dies.
coming. Yep.
Straight up fucking dies. Glasses is emotionally destroyed. Classic, like, crying, and the other cells are holding him back. And he's like, please, no, I can still save him. Like, straight up, dude. Like,
this sounds so weirdly emotionally touching. Like, I'm very tempted to just
really
go
good.
in there.
Like, I know the STD episode is bad, and it still is bad, but, like, this character arc is actually legitimately good. Like, legitimately kind of touching. Like, because they built up on it for, like 5-6 episodes.
Right,
like,
they put the work in to make it...
They put the work in. They totally did. Like, this is not like a one and done, like, oh, we're gonna milk this for, like, tragedy. No, these two were friends. They were legitimately good friends.
You sound so torn up.
It was... I ain't gonna lie, man. I was like, oh shit, the show actually did it. Like, and, like, it works because this show has stakes, because this body is a piece of crap that's dying. Like,
right.
You couldn't pull this off in mainline Cells at Work.
No, because, like, mainline Cells at Work, like, there's no stakes. Like, that body is hilariously also, like, susceptible to ailments, but, like, in Cells at Work, they always pull through at the end of the day.
Strong, powerful immune system.
Exactly. Whereas, like,
I mean, we're all constantly being bombarded with
and, like,
illnesses and things. So, like, it's if you're healthy, it's not a big deal. But
Code Black, it makes it work.
They never, like, show the body, right? The actual body? Like,
no,
they never indicate,
who
like, who it is or what's the deal, no?
The only indications we have is that it is a middle-aged man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who smokes and drinks a lot.
They never zoom out. Right, they never zoom out of the... Yeah.
But, just by introducing narrative stakes and, like, an overarching, like, storyline, like, Code Black works. It totally does. Like... Because it goes beyond just, you know, because if it were still being just edutainment, I'd be kind of bored by now. But now I'm actually, like, invested in the characters, as crazy as that sounds. It's...
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just how far are they going to push it by the end of the... Because it seems to be there foreshadowing something bad happening.
I mean, that's
by
the thing.
The end,
like,
right?
the constantly hovering in the background is like, this body is dying. It is not getting better. Like... Their victories are all Pyrrhic victories, right?
Do they straight up say that, or is it kind of all implied that the body is dying? Do they ever actually say, "Oh"?
Okay, I mean, okay, fine. I don't think anyone is actually saying the body is in the process of dying, but more like it is, like, clearly ailing in a way that is only trending downwards. Like, they visit the liver a couple times in the show. The first time they go there, the liver is portrayed as kind of like an Ikebukuro style, like,
CD club, right?
CD red light district, right? Where, like, the red blood cells go to, like, hostess clubs to, like, do the liver, like, detoxification thing, right? And they come to the liver again, like, a few episodes later, and it's, like, fucking run down. All the storefronts are closed. The hostesses are straight up, like, ill and dying. The liver cells that they represent. And, like, it's one of those moments where, again, the show kind of turns to you and says, this is what happens to your liver if you drink too much alcohol. But, you know.
Right.
Well,
right.
yeah, you say middle-aged Japanese man, so I'm figuring that's
Right,
pretty
yes.
relevant.
But it's, you know, and again, it's like, it's a little on the nose, but it's effective because, like, just by even just showing the same location twice, once when it was still, like, relatively healthy, and now when it's, like, on its last legs, it's like, oh,
Right.
okay, like, you're actually putting in the work here to, like, convince me that I should care about, like, what's at stake here.
Right. All right. Well, I suppose that is one of many shows I could have used to fill the void of all the things I dropped.
Maybe,
But
Instead, you chose this one.
how was I to know that this show would have such a compelling character arc in it?
yeah,
When it introduces you with big booby white blood cell in its first episode.
right. How things have changed, I suppose.
Yes.
But yeah. All right. Yeah. So what I did fill my anime dropping void with was I broke down and watched Jujutsu Kaisen after you guys were talking about
Anime
it.
of the Year
Crunchyroll's
2020.
best anime.
What a
Yeah,
coincidence.
Crunchyroll's 2020 best anime of the year, Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, so far everything you guys said, I pretty much agree with. In that the first season is pretty standard
Yeah.
battle shonen anime stuff. I mean, it's very well made.
Yeah.
It's probably about as good as you could make a battle shonen without straying outside the lines with it too much.
Right.
I can already, because you guys have talked about how, and we'll get to season 2 in a second, but you guys have kind of already talked about how it's a lot more fun with the rest of the cast, basically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
their relationships and everything. And I can already tell that. The big problem with season 1 is they're not together
No,
for
it doesn't do any of
99%
that.
of
No,
the
like-
season. And like Itadori's fine, the main character. Like,
Right. He's generically.
he's
Okay,
perfectly
yeah.
likable and everything, but like he's also very boring.
Yeah.
And he's like basically gets either him or like the teachers are like 90% of the screen time. And particularly the last arc, I was like, there's a lot of like info dumping and like
Yeah.
So
And,
that's
like,
where
they-
bullied kid gets dragged in, right?
yeah,
And like because they
And-
split the cast, it's like it's just Yuji and the teacher Gojo, and it's like and
Yeah.
the glasses dude, and it's like you split
Yeah.
the cast, and so like they can't even work off each other, which is like what season 2 addresses.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the ex-salaryman guy.
Yeah.
the glasses guy. He was a
Fun.
good character.
He's fun.
But like I didn't want like the entire show to be about him,
Right.
or just him and Itadori doing their thing. Like, because they basically had like one half an episode where they introduce the other students, and I'm like, I want to know what's up with the panda bear who's just named Panda,
Yeah.
and the guy who can only talk in sushi ingredients, and
God, that's right.
like all that other weird fun stuff happening in the background. So, if we're getting more of that in season 2, then
You definitely
I'm
are.
all-
Like, believe me
Or-
when I say like season 2 fixes everything.
the,
Like I'm not even joking. Like it, everything we complained about in season 1, season 2 like addressed and corrected.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think if that's the direction we're headed, I can see that we'll see if for me personally it was worth grinding through 13 episodes.
All right, Joe. What if I told you? All right, Joe. This is why I'm giving you the sell now. What if I told you that the last episode we just watched culminated in the big like characters fighting the real big bad of this tournament arc, right? Orochimaru crashes the Genin exams, right?
Yeah.
That stuff, or the Chunin exams. I always get that mixed up. That's style stuff, right? We just culminated the big thing, right? Orochimaru just fought the third
showed up,
Hokage.
crashed the
All right?
party.
What if I told you that the next episode preview, after all of that said, next week, baseball episode.
Oh hell yeah!
God,
This,
that's right.
this is a show that needs a baseball episode.
It's getting
You
a
have-
baseball episode.
You
next
have
week.
the cast. You have the cast for it for
With
sure.
their wacky powers and everything.
And
in a way.
But yeah, I mean, And even if they had, I think, incorporated more of that into season 1 of just mixing the cast in, I would have liked it so much more. Like, the whole, like, separating, Itadori for plot reasons, I feel like was
it doesn't work.
Stupid move.
It was a boneheaded move that, like, hurt hurt it in the long run, but...
even when Goku dies, we don't spend the entire time with him training with King Kai or whatever, right? Like, we get the whole cast involved, right?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward. I'll watch some of season 2 and see how it goes. It sounds like, from what you guys are telling me, I'll probably like it, and hopefully it'll be worth the payoff.
Yeah.
But
I've been enjoying season 2.
Yeah, well, like, again, speaking of, like, the episodes we did watch, like...
yeah, so, since last time, how has that been going?
Oh, it's good. It's good.
It's just been a non-stop fight scene, which, like...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I will say, season 1, the fights still were great, though.
They were good, but they were a little sparing, whereas, like, season 2...
Yeah, I mean,
just,
they
like,
didn't
it's like
happen very often.
It's a fight buffet. Like, I'm not even joking.
Right. And, like, I think there's lots of situations where that would not be entertaining, but...
No, definitely not. Like, again, like, believe me, if all we needed was good fights to be entertained, we would have loved Demon Slayer.
Or God of High School.
Or God of High School, right. But the thing that we really like about Jujutsu Kaisen is, like, the fights are good, and the fights are being fought by interesting, fun characters. So, again, so this arc kind of culminates in the big bad crashing the tournament arc, right? The real villain, and... Yuji and Toto, the buff dude that you probably saw once, Joe.
Right? One of the Kyoto kids,
yeah,
right?
the guy, the weird pervert guy.
Right.
Yep. I mean, not wrong. Yeah.
They team up to take on the big bad, right? And the big buff dude is already a big buff dude, right? Like, they make it extremely clear that, like, that's not like magical enhancements. He's just physically
jacked,
dominant.
Yeah.
He's just jacked, right? Like, he doesn't need magic to punch harder or anything like that. He can punch hard good enough on his own.
Right.
And so he's like, all right, it's time to use my power. And you're like, okay, well, what would his power be, right? Because at first you think, okay, big meathead guy, right? So his power is probably like enhancing his own body. But there's already another dude on the team who can do that. So it's like, well, it can't be him. His power? He claps his hands and he can switch two things and switch places with something. And the rules are he can only switch places with things that have cursed energy.
Okay.
And
so
at first you're like, huh, that's a really interesting power, because actually the thing is, ironically, even though he's a really good fighter, the power actually gets more powerful when he has a teammate he can support with it. Because, like, he can switch himself and his partner. He can switch the partner and the enemy. He can switch, like, there's all this, like, trickery
we
he
spend
can do
a good,
with it.
like, 5 minutes of them just fighting this dude and showing, like, every combo he could do with it with that.
And, like, I can't even, like, properly, like, verbally explain it, but, like, visually, they do an amazing job of showing just how powerful this ability is and, like, how fun it is.
Could he, like, switch with the enemy and then have his partner beat him up while he's controlling him or something?
A totally great minor example of this would be, like, so you have so we'll just say, like, heroes A and B and then villain C, right? So, like, villain C...
let me get a piece of paper.
So villain C is about to punch, hero A. Hero A switches with hero B, who already has a counter move ready to go.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he counters. Then Hero A switches again with Hero C, then to land another attack. Then switches with the villain to, like, set up, like, some, like, wombo combo. Like, literally, like, no matter where the villain moves, like, Toto will keep teleporting the villain back into the middle so that
they can keep
Yuji and Toto can keep beating on him from both sides. Like, the thing I noticed from Jujutsu Kaisen, because you mentioned the first season, Sunko Park really likes extended cutscenes of two dudes punching the shit out of a third dude.
Yes,
he really likes that, and it looks really good. Like, again, it's like words don't do it justice, but just like this extended sequence of these two guys just, like, you almost feel bad for the villain, just punching this villain back and forth like a sandbag into each other, and like teleporting to reposition themselves so they can keep this endless back and forth beat down combo going for like 2 minutes straight. They're basically doing like, the DBZ thing of like kick a dude in the air, then teleport into the air, and kick him back down, except they're doing it with two people.
Fucking Hidden Lotus.
Yeah, and the moment you realize, oh, he triggers his power by clapping, I was like, I knew the second I saw that, at least once in this episode, he's going to clap and then not activate his power, and the villain will think, will try to react accordingly, and it totally fucking works. It totally works. He claps, and the villain's like, I know what you're doing, I'm going to turn around and counter them immediately, and then gets punched in the back again. It's like, haha, sucker, I didn't actually use it that time. And
all right.
It's fun. Really fun. It's really fun.
It's cool that they did not go the conventional route with the powers, right? Like, because you're right. If you were to ask me what his powers were going to be, which I don't think he even hinted that in season 1, because I think he just literally beats up Yuji with his fists. But yeah, all right.
And even the best part, I almost forgot. He can switch with anything. Basically, he can switch with anything that has magic in it. It doesn't have to be organic. So that means,
right? And you have a few people running around with like cursed weapons.
If there was a magic weapon lying on the ground, he could switch a person with the magic weapon. So he could grab a person, switch him out with the weapon. Now he's holding the weapon in his hand.
It's just a strong, like visually striking ability that allows for fun fight scenes.
And Sung-Ho Park really makes it sing. Like, I don't think it would have worked if it weren't for the fact that, like,
he's
so
like the secret best action director.
Yeah, right now. Yeah. It looks so good. Holy shit.
All right. Well, what episodes are we? What are we on? Like episode 8 by now, or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
7 and 8. Okay. Well, I will do my best to catch up, but.
I would say at least, if you're still not, I would say at least get up to like the fight where Panda shows up. I think is probably like the first indication of like what this show can do.
Yeah, I at this point I feel pretty committed. So like, I think it would take a lot to make me drop at this point. I'm committed, but yeah.
The one
I'll give it a shot.
The one last thing I gotta shout out about this show is. I felt really good about it, but like going back, I was like, actually, it still does the Shonen Jump thing.
Yeah.
With a lot of pauses with exposition. But I think the reason I didn't notice it as much is because they do some funny, interesting stuff with how they mask that exposition. So, like, you know how we talked about the fake school flashback delusion that the buff dude had?
Right.
What if I told you that his in-battle combat exposition also happened in that delusion? So, like, in the middle of the battle when he's, like, fighting, the bad guy, and in any other shonen, it would do the whole, like, I see he's using that technique, but I'll need to counter this way, but will I be able to make it work? He is doing that in his Tokimeki-ass fucking school flashback delusion world where he's talking to the imagined version of the idol that he loves. And she's, like, quizzing him on the battle. She's like, so, how's the battle going? He's like, I got it in the bag. Like, I'm so fucking strong. And she's like, yeah, but have you thought about the properties of that ability he used
See what happened when the other guy got hit with that?
And he was like, you're right. That means I actually need to counter like this. And she's like, you're getting it. And then it cuts back to the battle, and he counters it, and it's...
Yeah. I mean, the presentation can count for so much on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. Well, we'll see if I can catch up by next episode or the next time we talk about it, because I think...
oh, God.
We might be doing season previews next episode.
Don't really do that already.
I didn't want to say it out loud, but... yeah,
you spoke it into the world, Joe.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the calendar yet, but I'm pretty sure that's how the timing works out. But all right, let's move along and talk about BEASTARS. Show's giving me anxiety.
Tell me about BEASTARS, Joel.
It's so crazy how
I
like
just need to hear someone who hasn't read the manga talk about it.
it's so crazy how like you can go from like the most chill slice of life, whatever, completely mundane scene, and the next thing you know, someone's limbs are getting cut off or pulled off or something. Like it's got me so anxious because there are a lot of genuine like chill little slice of life little side bits, and nothing happens. And that's just all it is.
And then sometimes,
but like I'm sitting now at this point now I'm like sitting there waiting. Oh God, is she gonna eat her, or is like somebody gonna like jump up behind somebody and like I'm like a nervous wreck watching at this point.
And the thing is, like that show sings because of those slice of life segments. Like
exactly,
like,
yes. I mean that's what
they are.
That's what gives it like it's. Right, it, like you said, yeah, it's like the soul of it, like the charm and the personality and the reason you care comes out of like these silly little bits of like
this leopard and this sheep like trying to take selfies,
try on clothes or whatever. Yeah, it's like go to the mall.
And sometimes those slice of life bits lead to Lugosi discovering the identity of the killer.
yeah. So I mean that was kind of the big thing in this block is we discover the identity of the killer, which I feel like they did a good job of making that obvious, like just before they actually say it.
Yeah, they do a pretty good job of like.
Because I mean I forgot that character even existed until
like,
I don't even know if we've seen it. We have seen him before.
Technically,
right?
we have.
He's been in like hanging out in the
not
back,
really
mostly.
And like as soon as they had like one shot of him standing next to Lugosi and you realize he's like 3 feet taller than Lugosi, you're like,
perfect.
Like right away you're like, oh, he's the killer.
This dude
and
is
then
gigantic, right?
And then they then they reveal it a couple minutes later or whatever. But again, give this director a raise for that.
It's really effective because like in a lot of ways the reveal that Riz is the killer. It almost breaks the rules of the mystery.
He has not been a character up until now. Let's be real.
Like generally, the logic is you cannot introduce the killer,
or
you cannot reveal the killer in the same scene that you introduce them. Right? Like the killer should always be someone who is an established member of the cast. And Riz like barely skates by because yes, he is technically a member of the theater club, but like he is basically a non-entity until the reveal.
Yeah, like I remember seeing him in the background or whatever, but I don't even know if he's spoken on screen or whatever.
The thing that works really effectively on both ends is, yes, Riz has been in the background, but like his size was never emphasized because, again, he's a background character, right? He was placed in the back.
Yeah.
So, like, even if he was gigantic, perspective would make him feel smaller. Until the very first scene where, yes, he is standing directly next to Lugosi, you realize that the dude is fucking massive. Like... He is a jacked. I mean, he's a bear. He's a grizzly bear, right? He's fucking biggest goddamn creature on, not on the planet. What am I saying? On land, one of them, anyways.
Yes.
And then the flashback where they explain Riz's whole deal, is one of those classic BEASTARS moments of like, that's absurd, and then 30 seconds later you go, okay, fine, I guess that makes sense. Okay, fine. I guess, yes, bears taking strength-reducing pills makes sense in this world.
In this world where because they had the scene just a few episodes ago where the cats are trying to pick up the heavy box or whatever and can't, and then Riz picks it up with no problem.
Yes.
It's like, if Wimpy Catman can just rip a dude's arm off like it ain't shit,
what could a bear do?
Right.
Like, how little effort would a bear need to, like... How little effort would a bear need to like exercise to like,
tear
rip
someone apart?
rip a rabbit or something, limb from limb, right? And just the tension that builds up because once you know Riz is the killer, and then the Riz flashback where he's spending all that time with Tem, you could just feel like the anxiety and the tension build up because you just know it's about to go horribly wrong.
Yeah, and like at this point, Lugosi would not stand a chance against him, and like you're just like.
And suddenly the Lugosi training arc makes sense now because they always like emphasize, oh man, Lugosi like by wolf standards is a genetic freak, like he's so strong even for a wolf. It's like, yeah, dude, but he's a wolf and this is a grizzly bear.
Right. There's not many things that are going to be stronger than a grizzly
tearing
bear.
The ceiling with his bare hands.
Right. Yeah, it's so with Lugosi's training, It's
Practicing
so
his
ridiculous.
Yakuza
Like,
moves, like
I guess he's channeling his like pacifist herbivore loving energy into his fists.
Yeah, that just makes sense.
Learning.
Like they literally show the energy rippling on his arms.
Yeah.
And he's now, he doesn't need his jaws to fight. He will fight with his fists, I guess. But
Yes.
it's totally ridiculous. Yeah, I felt like because 7 is the episode set. Is it 7?
Well, I don't know.
Was it 7 and 8? I think. Shit, I
The
forget.
the one episode 7, right? So that's the one where we did the killer reveal. It's super tense. So like, I was expecting something like super bad to happen in episode 8, and it's
all like happy fun time.
8's normal. Like
they give us a cool down episode,
Right.
I guess.
other than the really fucked up hyena, like 8 is
Right,
a totally
but-
normal episode.
Yeah, I mean that yeah, and we get the bit with Juno and Haru.
Right,
yeah. Oh yeah,
But, yeah,
Juno drops her famous line, taken entirely out of context. What's wrong with segregation?
Yes,
It's so funny.
Juno's a racist. No,
She is right.
yeah,
No, this is why Juno and Lewis are made for each other. They're both racists.
yeah. I don't think we've talked about in season 2 how BEASTARS writes good allegories for real life stuff without actually directly addressing
Right.
real life stuff.
it's-
Although some of the language I
right.
think in this particular section felt very specific.
I mean, we've talked about this on the other podcast. We talked about the one
Right,
where,
we've talked about this previously. I don't think we've mentioned it in season 2, but I think this is probably the first time in season 2 that
Right.
it's kind of really come up with a really
BEASTARS,
hammering
I
home
think,
some of
is
the.
really good at creating its own weird beast society where the issues are similar or applicable to situations in reality, but cannot be one-to-one allegories because
Right.
BEASTARS
Right.
is its own weird society.
Right, because when they talk about segregating the school, it's not racism as we know it, but it's something.
I mean,
right?
it has
Like,
been
it's-
established that, for example, this cat could rip this dude's arm off without even trying.
Right. There is some
There's
logical
more layers
reasons
to
why you
it.
might want to consider doing that, but it's like, but it's still still kind of framed in a similar
Yeah.
way, right? Where you could draw the comparisons. I thought some of the, like, there was one bit, there was just like one off comment where like, where one of the characters was like in the background, like, oh yeah, my mom says she doesn't want her daughter, being,
In danger.
looked
yeah.
at by those carnivores or something, like she's,
Uh,
which you could probably draw that parallel to a number of things in real life. But yeah, just I love how they handle those things in a way that you could connect that, you could draw that connection to anything. But like, I think the core idea of us being able to overcome our differences and see the good and the bad and all that, those are kind of universal concepts that you could apply to anything that they do a good job of handling amid all the crazy things that we've talked about. And that's why BEASTARS is great.
It really
But,
is.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen. I guess they've reached some kind of temporary truce
Yeah, I mean,
on the killer situation, but we've still got the whole thing hanging over our head with the teachers deciding that whoever finds the killer is the BEASTAR. I don't even know what that means. Still don't know what that means.
What is a B-star? We're now like 18 episodes into this show. You still don't know what a B-star is.
Who knows? I guess final thing, because I think that was the last part of the episode, if I remember. We mentioned already the thing with Juno and Haru. I thought that was a good bit. Good uncomfortable conversation. And more character development there. But again, I don't know what's going to happen, and I love it.
Yeah,
So,
and hey, don't forget, Lewis is still running the Lion Mob, so...
Oh, right. Was that the actual
Yeah,
last
That was the
scene?
last
Yeah.
scene of Eva.
Okay.
Haru tries to call him, and he dramatically
Haru tries
drops
to
his
call
phone
him.
off the top of the
Fucking
building.
God, Lewis is such a fucking drama queen. I swear to God. Like,
Yeah,
he has to like.
he could have just like hit ignore.
Yeah,
or,
but he had to
or end call or
dramatically
something.
drop the phone off the ledge. Like,
off the roof while it's raining. Have to throw the phone
right after
off the
like
ledge.
brooding here on the rooftop with his new lion dad.
Yeah. So. All right.
Good time.
Let's move along. And
Now that the fun stuff is out
oh,
of the way.
please. That's plenty
I
fun.
kid.
let's talk about Horimiya.
I'm curious what y'all think about Horimiya at this point.
I think we fully converted from
Yeah.
the Hori and Miyamura story, which they're still here and they're still developing their relationship, but we've kind of fully converted over to the side characters.
Yup.
I'm a bit concerned because look, I gotta be fair. When we talked last episode when I was talking about the Given movie,
Right.
how I hate the thing where everybody has to get paired up.
Yeah, and the Horimiya is totally doing that.
Yeah, like it's like, well, now the main couple's together. Now we got to pair up all the side characters. I feel like we're moving in that direction.
I'm not too mad because I do genuinely like the side characters.
Yeah.
I just wish they didn't all have to be paired up. Is the thing.
Yeah, and now they're having their own love triangles and shit.
Right. So I enjoy spending time with them, and I'm not like concerned that that's where the focus is shifted to, in terms of character. I just don't need a romantic relationship between everyone to happen.
Right, and I think it's suddenly becoming more, let's say, dramatic, like love triangle type stuff stands out all the more because Hori Miyamura had such a like relatively clean relationship, I guess.
Right. It was just very easygoing.
Right,
and,
clean as like it progressed
natural and
well,
it was not melodramatic at all. Right. It was like it was the opposite of that. So
right, and now you have like, oh no, but Sakura likes Ishikawa and so does Yuki, but he's got to pretend to be her boyfriend
right,
to
and now
this other
everyone's
guy.
kind of. And there's a lot of brooding going on, like and internal monologues and angsting, and I'm just like, well, like that's fine. Like it doesn't make the show bad, but it does change the tone of the show that kind of initially drew me to it.
Yeah,
in the first place,
I did laugh when they did the fake boyfriend thing, and then the other guy turns out to be super hot.
That was funny.
That was
like,
funny.
wait, no, why are you making this guy your fake boyfriend?
And pretty nice guy too. Like.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He seems like a super nice, chill guy.
Like, why are you not dating him? Is everybody's like jaws dropping? Yeah, I'm assuming. So like all the key art I've seen has like 9 characters, and I think he's the 9th one. So
yeah,
I'm assuming he's actually joining the cast, but that was pretty funny.
And when is he getting new glasses? Like, how long has this been going on? He clearly can't function. He clearly can't function as a human being, like, without some kind of, like, help.
Right.
And he, like, and everyone's like, yeah, it happens all the time. How often does he lose his glasses?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I kind of the same concern in that it is getting a little bit angsty, I guess.
Right.
And this, like, again, it's not that this show doesn't have those kinds of feelings in it, but so far they've resolved them within like the same episode, right? And now we're dragging on for a couple episodes with this.
And also we have nowhere else to go with Hori Miyamura's relationship, so let's add this weird masochism angle thing.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's we. Honestly, I'm not necessarily the core demographic. But, like, it's weird to me to have her be like, oh, yeah, hit me and yell at me. Like other shoujo male protagonists.
Yeah.
I think part of it is that she honestly kind of enjoys his discomfort a little, like, at acting that way. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Alright, it's a little bit funny to have him be like, no, God, I can't do that. But...
Yeah, I'm not going to tell that story.
Yikes.
I do have to wonder if that is also just playing around with because the tropes of the shoujo genre and all that, which I do feel like at this point the series is like intentionally targeting some of the like the cliches.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even like even this whole fake boyfriend thing, I feel like is they were trying to upend that a little bit. I don't know if they really did, but
no, that's gonna be prepared for that to last a while longer. I will say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the thing where like I feel like previously all these things have resolved so much faster. It's weird that this is now taking like 3 or 4
I know,
episodes.
Right? Yeah.
When they got the main confession over with in like 5 minutes. It's like
lightning speed. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I'm still enjoying it.
Yeah.
The kind of friendly vibe that the show has is still there, even with the drama.
And I did also notice, because I think last time we talked about the show on the podcast, we mentioned that we were I was kind of concerned that it would end up with, the main character like taking all his piercings off and like whatnot because he was suddenly emotionally fixed. But I did see a scene in the most recent episode, and he's just chilling.
Yeah.
And he has like at home, whatever, and he has still clearly all his piercings in.
Right.
Right.
So that was good to see, I guess.
And they because they gave us a couple flashbacks.
Right.
Like one of them was
he has like a dream sequence.
Horimiya looking back on his time as a lonely nerd or whatever, and he's still it's still there with him, right? Like
yeah.
It's not like he's quote unquote fixed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. We also had the other flashback with the student council president and the girl that looks like what's her name from Fire Emblem. And how they are they actually dating?
They are.
Okay, because that was all like, and again, their thing got resolved very quickly. We only needed one like 3-minute flashback, right? They were putting the moves on each other,
right?
And yeah, so I get it. It's just weird then that we're drawing out the rest of this, but it's still good.
Right. I'm just not sure where we are supposed to end like season wise. Does that make sense? Like, what's the end point of this show?
Yeah, because I mean, I dear God, I hope they don't drag this out for another 3 or 4 episodes. But
yeah.
But what do you do after that? Then I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the format of the show too. The way it has, other than that, that I guess that's taken over as like the quote unquote main story. But there's still a lot of like just random side vignettes happening. We are still popping in, seeing how things are going with Hori and Miyamura a little bit.
Maybe they'll throw in a beach episode.
Maybe.
Yeah, or a school festival.
Yeah.
That's
always a classic.
They have to upend that one.
Do you want to say
baseball episode?
Baseball episode?
I don't know.
I wouldn't say no. I do want to say I'm not sure who precisely is handling the subtitles for this show, but whoever is doing a good job. Like,
yeah, they've localized.
Yeah, there's been some good
some of the slang and stuff,
colloquialisms and casual vibe in the subtitles that comes through that I appreciate.
Definitely. So yeah, it's still the feel good show of the season.
And if like you really only care about Hori and Miyamura, like you can probably just watch up to episode 7 and be good. If for some reason you hate the side cast, like
I mean they're part of the show.
They're all very endearing in their own
totally
way.
fine.
Like yeah.
I would be suspicious of anybody that just hates the side cast. All right.
Yep. Speaking of hating the side cast,
let's move along.
Sidecast, like fuck everybody in this show, man. They're all so goddamn lame.
They're all
I'll let you guys
Bakayaros.
talk about Back Arrow. I bowed out at episode 5, but you guys are still on this train.
I bowed out at episode 1.
Yeah,
like
totally
I was done.
probably the
Y'all might have made the right
smart
choice.
move.
Perhaps we are the Bakayaros for
Yes, Hiro
continuing.
and I are the real Bakayaro. Were the friends we made along the way.
So how have things been going?
They made it to the wall and failed to do anything to the wall. And then the fake nightly European faction appeared and were like, hey, come hang out with us. And the whole cast said, yeah, we'll go hang out with you. And Back Arrow said, I'm going to stay at the wall because I don't actually care about any of you people.
Of course.
I'm just gonna keep punching this wall.
Yup.
Because he's a horrible character and I hate him. But yeah, keep going.
Anyway, it turns out that the saintly, lovely princess character in charge of the European nation is secretly crazy.
Well, no. Not only is she secretly crazy, she explicitly has a psycho split personality.
Okay, so show continues to treat the female characters horrible.
One half is the nice, like, unironically totally played straight, angelic.
I wouldn't say totally played straight.
Really? You think the quote unquote main personality is not just literally what appears to be?
Okay, it is, but like some of the writing is more self-aware than that.
Fine. There are tiny bits and pieces here where they're hinting that maybe even the main personality is a little bit more in the know than she lets on. But they immediately, because, we've mostly been dealing with fake China as the antagonist, so naturally now that we're in fake Europe, we need an explanation for, why would they be antagonistic eventually? And their explanation is, I guess, A, they have a technology where they can, basically melt people down to make their mechs stronger.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, if you melt a pilot and you feed that pilot, it's like a gacha game. You feed this pilot to another pilot, that pilot becomes a better mecha pilot, basically.
Uncap him to 5 stars.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And there's some goofy, fun stuff in this episode, but
yes, they do go and grab Back Arrow from the wall and drag him into their secret lab.
Where
so he's strapped to a table and the wacky mad doctor is about to operate and he's like, all right, unveil the experiment choir, and a curtain pulls back inside of his lab to reveal a choir who begins singing the song about how it's experiment time.
Sure.
It's again, this show has some
I don't feel like this show has the right tone to pull that off.
Right. This is what we've been saying. These jokes could work with the jokes are funny. The show's direction sucks the life out of them.
Yes, I think that is a good way of putting it. Is I think these the ideas they have for jokes are genuinely pretty good premises for bits, but then the execution is so fucking limp-dicked that it's just it doesn't work, right? It's presented in the it's they're trying to present these jokes in the most lifeless way possible.
Yeah.
The whole village, gets brought over to fake Europe, right? And they get invited to a huge banquet, and all these the joke is all these village bumpkins, right, that lived out in the boonies,
right,
are ignoring all of the social norms of fine dining with royalty, and they're just grabbing plates and shoveling them down, and literally ripping the plates right out of the waiter's hands, and they're stuffing them in their clothes because when you live in the boonies you want to have you want to have leftovers, right? You got to save food for the hard times.
It cuts to other stuff, and when it cuts back, they have a fucking bonfire going in the middle of the dining room.
Right, they're smoking the leftovers to turn them into jerky. It's really goofy, and you can totally see Again, I'm such a shitty person, but like I can see in my mind's eye the Amaishi version of this joke, which is like the same 3 frames like looping on repeat for like a minute straight, because that's what Amaishi would
tossing
do.
100 turkey legs onto a fire that's 2 frames of animation, like
exactly right. Like you would have the waiters tweening on screen with plates of food.
Your like Mako sequences,
right, yeah, like the Mako scenes from like the field trip moment, like stuff like that. Like you could see the version of this joke that would be like really kinetic and funny and like zany, and they just don't.
It just doesn't go there. Yeah,
it just doesn't have it. And so like the reveal of the princess being crazy is like, it's maybe like the first interesting thing that's happened in the show, but I'm not even sure if Back Arrow has what it takes to like make good on it as a fun twist. So
yeah,
probably not.
Show's 2 cores, man.
Yeah. Side note: speaking of treating female characters horribly, I did like in Jujutsu Kaisen how they've done with the female characters, particularly compared to other shonen shows so far. I mean, they haven't been on screen too much in season 1 yet, but
they get some cool moments in season 2 for sure.
I actually feel like they're equal cast members and not just like but from what I've seen so far,
maybe I've just been burned so hard by shonen so many times that like I don't want to get my hopes up, because yes, I will say that yes, the female characters in Jujutsu Kaisen are pretty fucking cool. Again, I'm sorry I had to spoil it, but I had to get you interested in the show. That girl caught that bullet with her bare hands.
Right.
She's pretty fucking cool, but there's always that like part that like I worry about in the corner of my brain of like, okay, like when does this manga inevitably like make them all like irrelevant to the to the story?
But yeah, I mean, compared to Back Arrow.
Yeah, but yes, for now, yes. In all fairness, Back Arrow does have like the princess's like boyish lady knight who like her whole gimmick is she has the one mech in the world that can fly,
right?
And she's kind of she's not even that cool. She's like,
does she actually do anything in the show?
She beats Back Arrow in a fight, I guess. So like I guess she does do that. Okay. So she does she does beat the protagonist in a fight. So good for her.
Have any of the girls in the main cast done anything?
Oh, useful? Don't be ridiculous.
No, not.
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
I mean, not how many of the fucking side cast in general have done anything useful is a question you could ask, and we would still say no to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Bit does get the shit kicked out of him again, which was fine.
Oh yeah, there were 2 anime in the last 2 weeks that had a sequence in which 2 dudes beat up a guy in the middle. Jujutsu Kaisen and Back Arrow.
Well, I can at least get behind
like these
that,
2 faceless guards, are just like regular palace guards, suddenly turn into fighting game characters and do a fucking like air combo rave, out of nowhere.
I can at least get behind.
Do like a dragon punch on him.
I hate that guy.
And then they just go back to being regular guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that guy and pretty much everybody else in the show. So,
tell us something we don't know.
All right. Well, 2 cores, guys.
Yeah.
2 cores.
Hey.
I'll give you I'll give you the opportunity to jump off the train.
There might still be time. Like you're not at the halfway mark technically yet, so contractually you're not obligated to continue yet.
Look, I totally get what you're saying, Artemis, and I thank you for trying to offer us the out here, but we finished Gundam Build Divers, so like
wasn't that like how many?
That was a while ago.
I guess it depends.
So
I mean, at least Build Divers Re-Rise like actually was interested.
My point being, like, what if the last episode of this core does something interesting? I'm not saying it will, but what if it does?
Fuck me.
You guys are digging your own grave.
We've never stopped. I'm not dead yet.
Exactly.
You'll get no sympathy from me in that case.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, speaking of a show that we might be grateful is ending soon.
SK8 the Infinity.
Has anything interesting happened in SK8 the Infinity since we last talked about it?
The tournament arc began.
Oh, okay, kind of. Like, kind of interesting.
Okay.
Go for it.
But it has nothing to do with skateboarding whatsoever.
Go for it.
It got weirdly dark. Like there was a dark scene that I was not expecting to happen, like of like domestic abuse, like pretty
Oh, wow.
pretty like not hardcore,
Right,
like oh it's so R-rated, but like it was quite.
The show on screen is pretty.
It was unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, nothing at all to do with skating whatsoever, but like so Inosuke / fucking what's his name? Adam. Like his whole deal is that he's probably so messed up because his aunts, I guess, like physically abused him when he was younger, but were always like, we're doing it out of love. Like we're doing all of this out of love. And he's like, wow, thank you for loving me so much. I really appreciate that. Like straight up, like they're just kind of whipping him, like his wrists and his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And making him like thank them for it.
Yes, it's.
I would not have predicted that happening
Yeah,
in the show.
and-
Like, and he's a kid. Like he looks like, I don't know, 10 years old maybe or something.
Yeah, he's a kid. And
Right.
And it's meant to explain, like, that's why, like, his character, his whole shtick is, like, he's obsessed with the concept of love and what love means. Because, like, see, he was abused. He has a completely, like, distorted understanding of what affection is. And honestly, this is, like, kind of getting into, like, maybe my problem with this show is, like, they're giving this guy a lot of screen time. Like,
Right.
a lot.
Oh, this is not one of the main...
I just wanted a harmless show about skating where everyone dressed like they were going to some kind of weird convention somewhere.
Right. Like I liked the first half of that episode where it's finally starting to get goofy, where they're doing a tournament and everyone's like, oh shit, they're unleashing their special move.
Right.
Like the power type can do the flips no one else can because his muscly body. Like, no one else could survive that maneuver.
It's the kind of dumb that I wanted.
Right, like
all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like even. Yeah, it's just like, you know, hell, even like the part where like fucking like these fucking gas masked fucking skateboarders try to assault Langa in the middle of the race. It's like that stuff is fun because it's ridiculous. Like that is like the like red line of skating that I was hoping to get, and. I don't know, like I think for me the thing that is actually like breaking this for me is like the Reki Langa like subplot. Like,
I hate it. Okay, I to be fair, I hate that subplot in any show. Like it doesn't matter how good it is, it's just a personal thing. I hate the whole best friend feels suddenly overshadowed by the guy he mentored and now he has to come to terms with the fact that he will never be the world's #1 skater and like his friend is so much better. Like I hate that.
I really, you know, I'm totally with you, Artemis. Like I think I've definitely said it on you know here before, but like, or at least I've definitely written it on paper. Like it is like legitimately one of my least favorite plot developments in fiction, maybe.
Yeah.
Because like especially with anime, the implication is always like, you can already see in this anime, right? They're beginning to start to set up Reki as like, oh, Reki's real place in skateboarding is supporting his friends from the sidelines.
Right, and he will grow up to be an amazing skateboard artist or an amazing skateboard like maker. Like
they're gonna set him up to be like the shop owner, right? Like he's gonna be a great like dude who he's gonna like run a great skate shop and he's gonna like you know be a member of the community because he makes the best skateboards. And it's like it really gets into like this really weird thing that anime does a lot of, like if you're not the best, get the fuck out of the way.
Move over for your betters.
Right. And it's like, here's the thing.
Well, like,
Reki's a really good skateboarder, alright? Like, he's a pretty good...
Earlier in this show, we had the whole thing with Reki being like, what's the point of being the best if you're not having fun to the kid, right? Like,
yeah. Like, the thing he literally tells little Catboy Miwa, like, that like, breaks through to him and, like, teaches the kid the meaning of friendship is literally him saying, you don't have to be the best. You just have to have fun. And now they're like doing a 180 on that, and they're like, nah, kid,
he's
not
completely lost his raison d'etre. Like he has nothing left in life.
And like it's really like fucked up. It's like, And so, like, even if, okay, here's the thing that actually worries me, is that even if they do eventually, they make up, Reki decides, like, I can still love skateboarding by supporting it from the sidelines. Like, no, dude, skateboarding's not a competitive sport, it's a hobby. You can still skate for fun. Like,
no, but this is skateboarding S-series only.
Tony Hawk doesn't do 720s every day. Like, I bet Tony Hawk. Here's the thing. I don't know much.
In my mind, he does. G.
Yes, I know, but
in our heart,
dude is 52. All right,
in our heart.
Like, he's maybe doing a 720 every week. I don't know about every day anymore, but like, it's weird, right? It's because like. Because the focus of the show is so heavily on the competition, it turns the hobby into, like, it puts the hobby in a very different light, right? When suddenly it's not about, like, hitting the big air or whatever, sit grinds. It's now about, like, whose ideology over skating will reign supreme, right. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I love a good dumb tournament arc. We've been talking about Jujutsu Kaisen this whole time, but... Yeah,
but it's not even a good tournament arc because it's just repeating the same stuff they've already done up until now. They're still just going down a hill.
Yeah,
and it's the same, and it's the same hill. It's not even a different hill. They do the same hill every time.
Right. It's like there's not even like gimmick competitions, right? There's no like, now we're going to skate. I don't know, over a volcano or something.
And for some reason, there's like a cop, like the lady cop in the background.
Oh my God,
and I get her trying to investigate the political thing, like if that's like the case she's been given. But why is she so concerned about arresting a bunch of skateboarders who are not doing anything in particular?
They're right. It's like hooligans. It's very
how dare they skate at midnight down a hill?
Introduce like hard ass lady cop as she's career oriented. She just wants to be the best cop she can. Then why are you busting skateboarders instead of
that'll get you a promotion,
the Yakuza or something?
Like I don't even. Are they breaking a law? Is there some law in Japan against skateboarding at midnight?
My understanding is skateboarding is still looked down upon in Japan. Like,
oh yeah, but is it worth sending it like this big ass detective who normally busts political subplots? Like,
these kids. Think of the children. Well, first they're skateboarding, next they're joining the Yakuza.
But I will say, even though I am pretty much dunking on the show at this point, I will say that the one thing I did enjoy from the most recent episode is Lunga's mum.
Oh yeah, that was
like
good.
She's a decent side character. She's probably the best character in the whole series, to be honest.
No, she's like a good you can tell it's a very like relatable like motherly figure.
And
she cares, but also like she's not like omnipotent, right? Like,
but she's just so super excited. She's like, yes, this is the part where my son is confiding in me, and like I'm so excited to be giving him advice. Like, don't blow it now, don't blow it. Like in a monologue is so good.
I do like even with Reki brooding, which is dumb, like it's still like he's just like hanging out with his sister or something, and there's some like good bits of these people just hanging out with their families.
So more of that would be nice, just to break up the brooding.
I think I've definitely arrived at the conclusion, like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but oh no, the beach episode was actually the best episode of SK8 the Infinity. Like, just, kids hanging out and having fun and getting into antics and skating. Like, we didn't even get to the part where, like, the butler is revealed. I mean, we kind of saw this coming. The butler is revealed to be the ultimate skater.
His mentor from way back in the day,
Yeah.
You see,
and this whole, like, I'm going to win the tournament to make you stop skating.
It's not even that, but, like, the next level of that is because Adam is skating to find his Eve, who he can truly love,
right.
And his butler
Which is
enters.
A super
his butler
weird
enters
metaphor.
as Snake.
Yes.
That was the weirdest fucking metaphor. Like, anime's continual obsession with throwing in biblical terms for no apparent reason.
I kind of love it because if Western shit will just pull like samurai soul or whatever, like, dragging all your Christian allegory bullshit. Appropriate the hell out of that. not do it
But
for
it's
me.
not even like it just
It's a
doesn't. It
lot.
just makes no like in context. It makes zero sense. I don't.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It just.
But I'm
it's
all here
completely
for that
out of
shit being
nowhere.
dunked on.
That it all sounds like a mess.
It's a mess. It's a
It
mess.
is a messy show.
is a
It's
mess.
a very well produced show. It's a very well produced mess. It's a very well made mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It still
Oh,
looks great.
so they've kept up. They've kept up at least the
Looks good.
like
Yeah.
technical.
Yeah, it
quality,
looks
right?
good.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
great looking show. Like, no complaints on the technical side of things. Like, everything we're talking about, it's purely on the writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one thing that impressed me with it. So at least they've got.
Yeah,
that
it's
still.
it's consistent in that regard at least.
Like, who wrote this show, actually?
Ichiro Kochi.
It's
It's the
it's-
guy who did Devil May Cry, the Apprentice Principal, Kokias.
Aren't, like, some of those good shows?
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
I mean,
And
dude,
then-
if you look at that dude's like filmography, he has a lot of hits and a lot of misses. So,
One of those. Okay.
and then it's directed by the person who did Free,
that's
the
right.
the swimming anime.
Ah, sure.
So it like on paper it's an interesting mix. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not all terrible. It's just that it's mostly terrible.
He wrote Planets?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Planet?
yeah,
Yeah, that's why he
Yeah.
was brought in by Taniguchi to do Kokias also.
What the fuck?
yeah.
Why is this show so bad?
Planets
Some,
was a was
some
an
highs and
adaptation,
lows there.
so-
Yeah.
Sure,
Maybe
still, why-
maybe the synergy just didn't work out on this one. You know.
Right. I mean, again, like this dude, this writer is we've talked before about this, but he's got some.
Gotta get
he's
that
got some really
paycheck.
good shows and a lot of big stinkers. So
I don't know. Is
get that
maybe this show is getting super popular in Japan. I don't know.
who
Like
knows?
I'm not there anymore. I have no idea, but
It's probably not as white hot as Freed it got. Right. I don't know.
probably not. But I can actually imagine it having like a decent fan base among
Sure.
junior high school students.
Oh, I'm sure
Any
it has.
teens who are into
Yeah.
skateboarding. I don't know. All right.
All right, let's
Ugh.
wrap things up with our Wonder Egg priority minute here.
There's a lot going on in
Yeah,
this show.
this this show continues to try and tackle some heavy subjects. Episode 6, we kind of come back around to Ai's the main. I guess we call Ai the main girl,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. I think that's fair.
I mean, we see the
Her
most
whole
of her life, like her background life. So
Yeah, her whole deal with the creepy teacher guy,
Uh-huh.
who I don't know, like, what are the odds that he's actually not creepy, and it's just her perception of it?
Still feel like it's too early to call whether. Cause I feel like with anime, particularly, sometimes it's a red herring, and sometimes they really were just that fucking blatant about something, right?
yeah, is it gonna be a red herring, or is it gonna be the erased kind of thing where like
Right,
it must be a red
right.
herring because it's so obvious.
God, the raised, yeah, we're like, this guy's
Yeah.
so obviously the bad guy. He couldn't.
It cannot possibly be the bad guy. Yeah.
Oh no, wait, it was him. the
Yeah,
whole time.
because up to now he's been kind of painted as
He's been painted
At
as a
least
very
creepy,
like
right?
sinister background figure.
Yeah.
right, and but we've only kind of been seeing that through Ai's perspective, and then they kind
Right.
of dropped the bomb in episode 6 where he hasn't necessarily been coming over every day to get her to go to school. He's been coming over because he's planning to date her mom.
Right.
Right.
But it kind of also sounded like she was maybe the one who invited him also, like
Yeah.
as opposed to
yeah.
him just kind of asserting himself.
Well,
I don't really know.
Here's my interpretation of, I guess, what's happened so far is it appeared that to me that the girl she's trying to save that killed herself was into the teacher,
Right.
right?
That is what is being
And
presented
then-
as. Oh,
the teacher, for whatever reason, seemed to pay some kind of attention to Ai, and then maybe she feels like that was the reason why the girl ended up killing herself or something. And I don't know how. I guess my question is going to be how reliable of a narrator is Ai herself.
Yeah, because
Honestly.
so far I don't
But-
know if she has particularly been like just not because she has any ulterior motives in painting someone as sinister when when they're not, but just because of how young she is and because of like the trauma she's already faced at school, like through her peers and the bullying and so forth.
Right.
I genuinely can't tell if she can be counted on or not.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, even in this episode, she's trying to work out because people start saying, oh, maybe you have a crush on the teacher, and she's working all that stuff out and everything. And weirdly enough, this all ends with her running up to him and declaring, I'm coming back to school, like everything's fixed. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a bit of a mess with all that. But I feel like I would be disappointed if there wasn't something going on with him.
Maybe.
But like if it really was, because we have on as sort of the flip side, the other girl, Momo or whatever.
He's her uncle or whatever.
That's his niece.
And so she's like, he's
right,
obviously
his niece,
good.
and she's like, I love this guy. He's great. He would never do it. And there's been even some confrontation over that.
And I get her. I get that even, if he is the sinister guy, I get why she would want to defend him, because who would want to think?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's almost like that could go either way, where she's either right or it doesn't really tell us much, because either she's right or she's just defending her uncle, or she may only see that one side of her uncle, right?
She's the only one we haven't seen any background on in terms of like her kind of day-to-day life, right? At home kind of thing.
Yeah,
and it's been presented as she has kind of the most normal like home that's quite loving.
They gave us the only thing they gave us when they introduced her, they gave us the one flashback with the girl that was coming on to her at the school.
We seem to be entering the leg of the show that'll be like, here's everybody's one-off focus, so I think give it by the next time we talk about this, she will have had her focus episode.
She might, either her or Nehru is going to get the next
I'm
episode,
curious.
right?
I'm curious to see that, because because she's been presented as basically the not traumatized one,
right? Yeah.
In terms of her home life.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're gonna
some
kind of
drop
but
a drama bomb, like
actually this was going on the whole time,
But yeah, I mean, like we're starting to allude to there. Episode 7, we start getting into one of the character focused episodes where we get Rika's background and why supposedly she's such a horrible person. But or at least that was our perception of her up to now. And this was. I'll say this: I'm not educated enough on the whole self-harm thing to really say whether or not this was handled with care appropriately or not. I did kind of look around for some reactions from other people, and it's been pretty much positive on everything I've seen, other than I think for some people it was difficult to see how, I wouldn't say graphic, but they basically show her
about to cut herself,
or attempting to cutting herself.
Yeah, they show her about to do so.
And I didn't know how to feel on this one a lot of the times. I still get the feeling I talked about last episode, where there's that lack of authenticity to it. Like, it feels like somebody. And I'm all for people drawing attention to issues and things like that, whether they've experienced them or not. And it does feel like somebody researched this and tried to respectfully present it and incorporate it into the story, but it doesn't feel like firsthand experience, like I was saying last time.
Yeah.
And you can kind of tell, like, it's almost a very clinical way of handling it.
I will say I like the fact
aspects,
the fact that they didn't try to imply that she was all fixed. Like, now that she's had this confrontation and she's resolved a couple of of the more pressing emotional issues going on with her, that she wasn't suddenly and now I won't do that anymore because I am no longer traumatized. So that was definitely a good thing.
On the other hand, her speech is like, I'm still gonna do this, which is like,
I guess I interpreted it as a kind of
acceptance of it. Like,
yeah, a kind of self-acceptance, not in that this is a good thing.
She's not going to give up.
Not in that cutting is good and I will
Right,
keep
of
doing
course
it
not,
because I may as well and I always will. But like, yes, I am for now, but you can't shame me for who I am also.
Right. And I think particularly in the fight, which looked amazing, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Starring your friend of mine, Joji Nakata, as this creepy cult monster.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think it was because, you know, we're reaching the point where it starts getting where you're starting to wonder, you know, is she going to commit suicide and join these other girls, right? And it's like, I think the key is that, you know, even though she's not quote unquote fixed, she at least at that time was not ready to give up.
Right. She's she's keeping in the game and she's like not allowing someone to tell her you may as well give up.
And I think it's good too that they show her having a range of emotions and like she's clearly been using her sort of like
facade
sense of humor and like false sense of bravado as like a cover up. But she's not always just like moping around and sad all the time. And it's like a range of, you know, emotions as she's working through her problems. So like I think overall it was a pretty good way of handling her character and helping us kind of come more around on her. At least for me, I've had a lot of trouble accepting her as a character as like a likable character with the rest of the cast. And
I think her assertiveness makes a lot more sense in context now because we can see that she's like very used to fending for herself in terms of her day-to-day life. So it kind of makes more sense for me.
Right. Yeah, and like I kept telling myself, you know, these are kids trying to deal with
complex issues,
serious problems that they're not prepared to deal with, and you can kind of understand why they're heading in that direction. But I like I said, you know, I think I still have some of the same concerns I talked about last time with this just feeling like somebody else telling somebody else's story a bit, and I feel like that's kind of holding it back for me in being like really getting me emotionally invested into it.
Yeah.
Like I feel like from a more like technical, or I hate to say objective point of view, like I can see how well the show is made.
It's very
and,
well
like,
made.
They're doing a good job. But like I'm just not like emotionally invested in it the way I feel
I would
like
say
I should
is like
be.
I don't see the like arc of where this is meant to be going, I guess. If that makes sense. Like I don't see like I don't see where the show is supposed to be going, and so it's not that I'm not interested in the characters or anything, it's just that the way it's presented, I go like, all right, like they're facing these issues and overcoming them with this framework, but I don't see what to what end, I guess.
I mean, I guess you could argue that could be a good thing in that I can't predict, like it's not a predictable show.
Right.
So I can't say, aha, and in the end, like clearly it will end this way and it will be a big lesson about love and loyalty. Like we just don't know.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, is it just going to be a power of friendship thing? The real Wonder Egg priority was the friends we made along the way.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm expecting.
Because I mean, that is a theme that they're going with, because the four girls have become friends, and they're trying to emphasize that.
Yeah, but I'm expecting a bit more depth than just, and the lesson is be good friends. Like
that's the thing. Like I want more depth like that, but I don't feel like that's necessarily getting delivered, so far. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said kind of early on, I felt like so far this has been just like an extremely well-made magical girl show.
Yeah. What I feel like I'm missing is a through line that goes through all the characters, other than quote unquote big problems, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean they have the whole egg system
Well,
thing. That
yeah, but that's just like
tying them all together.
a artifice to allow magical girl fights, kind of
Right.
like,
and to bring up different topics and societal issues. And
I just
things,
like
right?
The weirdest thing for me is that they're smart enough. The girls are all smart enough to question what they're doing and whether they want to keep doing it, right?
yeah.
But no one has seriously brought up the question of the two guys they're talking to. like if everyone's like, yeah, like maybe, you know, we should have a discussion about like what we're trying to get out of this and whether we should put literally our lives on the line. But no one has ever thought to say, so these guys, what's their deal?
Yeah.
Like,
right, or should we? Because I mean, they've been told that if they keep doing this, they're going to save the various people.
Like the most
save, right?
untrustworthy figures in the whole show,
But,
and
right.
they're not even.
They're just
They
trusting-
never once bring up whether
They're just trusting these creepy mannequin
right
guys.
whether
that
anything
are
they
giving
say
them-
can be accepted at face value.
Yeah, these like, yeah. I suspect that there's more than meets the eye in that regard for sure, but who knows? At this point, I just hope they do. I just hope they go somewhere
Right.
with it, right? Like,
Yeah,
if it really is just
the
I
power
would be
of
disappointed
friendship.
if this really was just like a really nice magical girl show and it ends with the power of friendship.
Right.
Whether they revive their friends or not, which I suspect they won't. But, yeah. Hard to say until we actually reach
Yup.
the end.
Yeah, but I'm in definitely no danger of dropping it. I'll say that. It's
Right. Yeah.
I'm still really
Yeah.
enjoying. Like I agree that I'm also not as emotionally invested as I probably should be given what's happening, but it is still a really good show that I am enjoying watching
Yeah.
every week, and
Right.
yeah, like extremely
Yeah, I mean,
competent, like extremely technically competent in every way for sure.
Right. Yeah, no, it's one of the best looking shows I've seen in like years at this point.
And great sounding, and yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's
really
so
well put together.
well-made, and,
Yeah.
like I appreciate that they are trying to cover these like pretty heavy topics
Yeah.
here, and it's just like, but I think that's why I'm a little disappointed that I don't feel like they're drawing you in as much as they could be. With it, because like I don't need a show to emotionally draw me in to enjoy it, but like they are in that neighborhood, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. I feel like, and I'm not there yet, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things go, and you know, like I said, I just hope they go somewhere
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Like I said, we may be doing season preview next episode. I'll check the
Oh,
calendar.
goody.
But
Oh boy.
for now, let's end on our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. Zig is continuing to write about Wonder Egg Priority, as far as I know. So if you want the real in-depth deep dive into all the details of each episode, please keep an eye out for that. You can follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course on YouTube. You can like, comment, subscribe. Leave a comment on YouTube or on the post at theglorioblog.com.
Do we have our special URL yet?
No.
Oh.
The more I dig into it, the more like I realize how stupid it is.
Is it like real ass work?
No, we're waiting for the
Waiting for Google Senpai to
step
notice
down
us.
and bless us
Jesus.
with their. I feel like it's almost like getting a blue check mark on Twitter,
Oh man.
where you have to wait for somebody to get around to looking at your thing and giving it to you. So I've heard some people get it within an hour, and I've heard some people not get it in weeks.
Great.
So who knows? But yes, thank you all for subscribing. We'll keep we'll try to keep growing that regardless, and ring the bell, all that stuff. I don't know. And that's gonna do it. So we'll catch everybody next time.